Happy birthday, Jay. Jay's really old now. He's almost as old as I am, but we'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it is Jay True's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Jay. Glad to know you're finally catching up.
There's a piece of cake for you over there.
Okay.
Those of you who are not aware, Jay True and I are actually the same class at Ithaca High School, and my birthday is much earlier than yours, and I'm much older than you are, Jay. So I was either held back or time warp thing going on, but I don't see anyone signed up. Does anyone like to speak? I think probably have an opportunity later if you wish. And we'll move on, and I believe there's some modifications to at least a personnel report and the agenda, perhaps. Anyone?
Yes. No, I don't have it pulled up.
Right. We do like technology, so it's...
I do like technology, so now I got to actually get it in front of me, so I want to delete one item. I got it. Delete one item and add another. So in the personnel, which is 3C, I'm going to pull the section on technology mentors from that, and I want to add a supplemental that's dated today. Right. We can't add a supplement. It's a single point.
So we good, Brett? So the supplemental has been added. Any other modifications? We good? Thank you, Brett. Modifications noted. Doreen, public and staff, no one has signed up. Student representatives. Avi, you have a friend?
I do. I will introduce her. This is Noah Weston. She will be serving with me. I'm representing LACS. So you'll be seeing her around here. All right, so I'll begin with our report out. Well, we just got back from fall retreat on Thursday afternoon. It was very successful. It was a great bonding and learning experience, and everyone was safe, and we all got home safe. So, not much more to say other than that.
Just the way we like it.
Yeah. Tomorrow at 7 is the year's first dessert and discussion hosted by the Parent Caregiver Group, and the topic of the discussion is supporting students further and their success.
Also tomorrow, during the morning, for all of the juniors and some sophomores, they will be taking the PSATs. So that'll be tomorrow, just a warning, something.
Colleges at the end visiting LACS. Today we had a representative from Hampshire College, and last week we had one from Oberlin, and more will be coming.
Also, a large group of LACS staff and students will be walking in this Saturday's Cancer Resource Walk-a-thon and 5K run, just to support all those people out there, survivors and people battling cancer. So we're very proud of our students and staff who have signed up to do that.
The fence on our new garden has been finished, and the committee has been formed, student run committee, to work on starting up that garden and implementing some infrastructure. And also the Cafe Reinvention Committee has also been working on helping to reinvent that and combine with the garden.
And finally, the new gym floor is done. So we are running around in there right now, and we'll have our first all-school meeting in there tomorrow, so it's very exciting. And thank you everyone who has helped us get that done, because it's been a long process. Thanks. And that's all.
Board responses, anything? Aviv, did the purple cow ox thing get back on there on the gym floor?
Yes, it did.
So when we're talking done, we're talking totally done.
Yes, totally done.
Great.
Totally done. Yeah.
Is it an ox?
It isn't. It's Paul Bunyan's Blue Ox.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, very good. I've heard.
It's a fitting name for.
Is it? I'm not sure why it applies to LACS, but that's okay. I don't need to know. So, stands for something. Okay. Anything else right now? Keep moving. Very good. Really, it's the consent agenda, I believe.
I move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second by Brad. Any questions regarding anything on the consent? All in favor? Yes. Everyone? No? Okay. No, we'll start with Judy. All in favor, everyone but Judy. Those opposed? Judy Maxwell. Consent passes. And we'll move on to Dr. Brown momentarily, but as a part of the personnel report, the supplemental personnel report was the new AP for Ithaca High School, my favorite high school because I went there, but Joe Dara, correct?
Well, he's got my son here around too. It's my pleasure to introduce Joseph Dara, who's been the last 6 years a math teacher in the Syracuse City School District, and in 31 days or less will be the new associate principal at Ithaca High School.
Great.
Welcome.
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 And you don't have to talk now, but someday you will, and Dr. Brown, go ahead.
Well, welcome, y'all. And my superintendent report is going to be very brief. I'm just happy to be here. So, there's been so much happening in the district, and I'm hoping to catch you up as the night goes on, because there's various things. We had a great PLC day on last Friday, and I know Mr. Walker's going to come speak to some of the exciting things that happened here on site. But if I could just take this moment to thank the board, the community, there's so many folks who dropped food off, who helped babysit my 20-month-old, and done so many things to support myself and my family through this pregnancy. And we're happy to report we have a brand new baby boy at home. He's 6 days, out of the days are blurred now. He's 6 days old now. He was born last Thursday at 12:30 a.m. She went into labor at 12:05 a.m. So we're just happy, Aiden Quinn Brown. So just thank you to all the folks who are listening and all the folks in the room, because everyone has touched my family over the last 9 months, and especially over the last 5 or 6 days. And so thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. So we're looking for varsity basketball in 15 years, right?
Football, I think it's going to be a safety.
Fast, quick.
Could be
Well,
running
you know,
back.
it's
Or AQB.
multi-sport.
His name is Aiden Quinn Brown, so he's either going to be AQB or safety. You get that?
Yes.
Rob, you didn't appreciate that joke. I'm waiting for him to say yeah.
That's good. That's good.
I like it.
You've been working on it for a couple days now.
All those days of how am I going to get robbed? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Like nothing else, Dr. Brown? It's just nothing.
That is all I have.
Nothing at all exciting in your life other than that.
You have to know.
That's a pretty big thing.
So we are pleased and happy for you, Dr. Brown, and so we're going to go ahead and do on the school district business, and we'll hopefully get you home in time for A, babysitting, or B, other things.
Change your Pampers and Pediasure.
There you go. So I believe, Dr. Brown, it's time for the community partnerships. The Ithaca City School District is blessed with many partnerships within the community. Last Wednesday, we celebrated 15 and Forward with IPEI, all that they do in the community, and we're going to talk about some more of that right now, correct?
And we have several groups here tonight. We have the Hangar Theater, we'll be here, Lisa Bushlow is here. We have Mr. Kyle Walker and some friends are going to be here to speak about our connection and collaborations with Cornell University. So Mr. Walker, if you wish to come on up, we can get you set up. You have to share your PowerPoint.
Yes.
Oh, this is actually a video. Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay. So we can.
Yeah.
I need directions. What am I supposed to do? Just open
We're
it
gonna
up.
bring the 14.
Open it up. Open it up. All right.
It's like airport security, I don't know what to do.
Jay, you can relate, right?
I can.
There you go.
I don't know what to do. Help me.
Village will support you, Cal. You could sing while we're waiting.
That's not gonna happen.
Oh, sorry.
Only if Rob backs me up.
Glad
There you go. There you go.
You know what? So these are reference materials which I will provide. So the brief video will be a little bit toward the end. I can begin chiming now, if that would be okay. All right. Listen, good evening to all of you, board members. We are already pretty familiar with each other, having engaged at various levels over a long period of time, including some of my own children in Mrs. Maxwell's classrooms. And in terms of the newest board members, just this past Friday, Pat announced to me that, Cal, I no longer have to reintroduce myself every time we see each other, which is what she had been doing since having been elected to the board. Most of you know that I've been in this community for a while. I've been here for 35 years. And I wear several hats in this community, and I'm very proud to say that among those hats, those that I wear proudest have been parent, and for the last dozen years, foster parent. And I would say to you that in those two roles, my household has contributed 40 children to the stewardship of the district for their educational grounding and development, including 4 young people who are in my household now within 3 of the ICSD schools. Other hats that I wear are those of mentor, advocate, tutor. In fact, some of you know that for a number of years I've been an alternate instructor within the ICSD, having worked with a good number of children, young people over that time. And obviously another very visible hat is that of co-founder and executive director of the Village of Ithaca. I had been at Cornell for 14 years, working in the Learning Strategy Center and the Center for Learning and Teaching, when the position of Outreach Liaison to the Ithaca City School District was created. And I was absolutely thrilled, Lavelle, to have been appointed to that position. And I remember in this very room, Rob, and you'll probably remember this, when Dr. Steve Hamilton, who at that time was the Associate Provost for Outreach, and I came down and we chatted with the board about the collaboration between Cornell and the ICSD and my appointment as outreach liaison to the district. And Rob, you said something that I appreciated then and I've appreciated even more in the years since then. And that was, you said, Cal, I hope this is not window dressing. And I said to you then, Rob, I don't think it is. And very shortly thereafter, I was absolutely certain that it was not window dressing. I've always been very excited about the potential in serving as the outreach liaison to the Ithaca City School District, and I will tell you that since the creation of the position, sustained progress has at times been a little slow. But I am very, very happy to say that in recent times, there is significant traction being built. And the traction that is being built is certainly going to significantly increase our ability to do some more exciting things together in terms of collaboration and really be able to maximize the collaboration potential between our two institutions, Ithaca City School District and Cornell University. As outreach liaison, I'm working to help facilitate, coordinate, and to guide the university's tremendous outreach resources and capacity. The operative word is help. To help facilitate and to help guide and to help direct those things, because the reality is that as a major world-class university, Cornell has been engaged in outreach activity for a really long time. We are the land-grant university for the state of New York. In terms of outreach, we typically define it as that which is formal, outreach that is tied to structured programs within the university. Public Service Center is a great example. structured program where outreach is very extensive, particularly in terms of placing students within the district. Cornell Center for Materials Research is another place where there's a structured program, and there's a very long list of structured programs where formal outreach is happening. There's also some informal research. A person working at Cornell may have a child who is in a classroom within the district, and some of the informal outreach involves that person bringing his or her expertise into the classroom. Why? Because there's a existing relationship with the teacher. And so the invitation is extended, and the person is able to come in and engage in some outreach activity. So there's some really dedicated folks who've been doing some really excellent work for a very, very long time in terms of outreach to this district. But I got to tell you, still there's a whole lot more that can be done. And this is not just additional collaboration for collaboration's sake, but collaboration that is intentional, that is mutually conceived, that is strategic, with clear outcomes, particularly around better engaging students within the classroom, and outreach activity that is mapped to and structurally tied to district curricular standards. I want to talk to you very quickly about three words, and those words are connect, communicate, and collaborate. Dr. Brown, I've always been inspired by your 3 R's, relationship, rigor, and relevance. And all of those things are certainly designed to help promote greater engagements of students within the classroom. And I can tell you, outreach is a very, very important and very available tool in helping to engage students within the classroom. Connect, the first C. Connect is really about building awareness. There is a tremendous amount of outreach capacity at Cornell, and I got to tell you, as I'm in and out of the schools within the district, and then just most recently on Friday at the resource fair, there are a lot of teachers that do not know about that outreach capacity. I see Mrs. Maxwell shaking her head as having been a classroom teacher for a long time. Simply are not aware. We've got to do a better job of connecting. Connecting is important both in the classroom and in the boardroom, so to speak. One connection that I was very happy to help facilitate was shortly after Dr. Brown was appointed and began his work as superintendent in the district, was able to connect him with Cornell's strategically placed folks in Albany who know the lay of the land, and who are very well connected, knows and understands the legislative process, very well connected to folks in state education department. And Dr. Brown and I, one sunny afternoon early in his tenure here, drove over to Albany. And we were able to be hosted by Cornell's folks there, and it was important for us to connect him with them, because as they need to understand what the priorities of the educational leader in this school district are, and be able to extend themselves when he is articulating the priorities for the district and asking, what resources do you know of at the state level? What is on the horizon? What do we need to be looking out for? So that kind of connection has been very important. Another connection point involving Dr. Brown is all of you know the priority for upgrading the technology infrastructure of the district. Right up the hill at Cornell University, we were able to connect Dr. Brown with the leader in Cornell Information Technologies. And we really hope that some fruitful things will come out of that, because there's tremendous ingenuity, there's tremendous capacity there, and by virtue of this connection and folks involved in dialogue, we believe that some very fruitful things will come out of that. But also connection certainly within the classroom. Just last December, we sent from Cornell a van down to the ICSD, picked up over a dozen educators, brought them to campus, where they engaged with some of our outreach folks for about an hour and a half or so, collaborating, sharing ideas, talking about needs and mutual interests. That was in December. In March, this past spring, many of those outreach folks on campus came down to the ICSD for a PLC day, to be able to hear Dr. Brown and other educators within the district talk about the priorities of the district so that they can better understand what they can offer to the district and help them to meet the myriad goals that the district has. So connection is certainly important. A great connection was this past Friday, a networking and resource fair that I will show you a very short video in just a moment, which was a wonderful example of connection and an opportunity to kind of foreshadow some of the things to come. So after connection, people have the ability to communicate. What are the priorities? What are the primary goals and objectives that we can work together on that are going to break new ground in terms of collaboration? And the more people communicate, the more strategic folks can be in terms of crafting the collaborative efforts going forward and assigning priority to those things. So there's not activity. It's not disparate activity that is happening, but something that is grounded and connected more purposefully and intentionally to what is happening within the schools at all levels. And then finally, once those communications begin to happen and people are brainstorming and strategically thinking about how best to leverage the vast resources that are available at the university, then collaboration that is of a higher level of quality and efficacy can begin to take place, and that is what I believe is happening now and has been happening in recent months and was really galvanized at a very significant level just over the past couple of days over in the cafeteria at the high school. We want the relationship with the Ithaca City School District in terms of the partnership between the district and the university to be the best there is. Period. There's a lot of untapped resources. We know that there are needs. Why? Because the teachers are telling us that. The educators are saying that. You're going to hear some of them say that on the video that we're going to see in just a few minutes. And the fact that many of those resources are not currently, a lot of teachers are not currently aware of those. See, that's not the district's problem. That's our problem at the university. And we're going to do something about that. And so at this point, what I'd like to do...
You have the oldest Mac I think I've ever seen. I'm working...
Can you put it on thumb drive?
That's what
we're gonna have to do.
No, we don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Listen, she didn't ask.
That's true.
That's not I was being polite while you were talking.
See the progression though. Tap the port one, tap the port two.
Forget about it. I don't know.
There's almost...
She was being polite. Forget about the polite introduction.
One more time.
So Jay, this is what I meant. So when I sat down, there was no shame on your part. You said you didn't know either.
No.
Right? So Brad tells me to open up the computer. We got that. Well, what do you do after that? See, Jay and I don't mind asking for help. Actually, didn't ask for help.
She just looked at me.
Exactly.
I'm glad I was able to showcase.
I feel like a student right now.
Well, while Dr. Myers is pulling this up, Cal, we have talked about this in the past, and I appreciate that you remember what I said years ago, because I don't always remember so long ago. But to be halfway serious here, you actually just said a very key sentence. Told Dr. Myers, you didn't ask, and that's what I hear a lot. I mean, that's the teachers that I didn't know what was available. So it's incumbent on, we have to do that's why I think the problem with many of it, we have to do the ask, and where's the offer? So, if we want to, we always talk about this, but, how do I'm a teacher in Enfield, and, most of my community never even steps on to the Cornell campus. How do, and yes, I, as a teacher, may, and my students don't, or how does my community get access to Cornell? And we've talked about this. So,
absolutely.
So I have to ask, who do I ask? How do I ask the right question? And so, Leslie, you didn't ask. So, I'm not. No. But it was the perfect point. Right. It was, it was amusing, but that's the issue. And Cornell is a great resource. I know it fairly well, right? But that's always been, you know, what do you have to offer? How do I know what I can tap into if I don't know? Certainly that's what you've been working on. And you stated that we're not where we want to be, and I'm not going to talk forever. Others, go ahead. We're waiting for Leslie to boot up. You can respond, and others can speak while we're waiting.
What I would say, Rob, is that is absolutely one of the reasons why we've got to be much more intentional, and that's why the 3C strategy, the connect, communicate, collaborate. What some of the teachers and other educators told me at the fair on Friday, quite honestly, echoes what I've been hearing for the last couple of years. Folks are saying we're often inundated with things that come across our email. We see posters, we see flyers, we get email invitations to a lot of different things. It can feel overwhelming. Technology is a wonderful thing, and we certainly do need to leverage that. But you know what else we need to do? We need to do what those folks said when they climbed on that bus back in the middle of December and came up to Cornell and sat face to face and eyeball to eyeball and folk and began making what? Personal contact. And that goes back to the R Dr. Brown's been talking about, relationship. Now, you know, not to complicate this at all, I think it's really simple. I think that when we create events like we did this past Friday, where you got 500-600 teachers moving through for a 3-hour period, and let me say very quickly, Dr. Brown, thank you, sir, because you and your leadership team showed real leadership and innovation, I believe, and perhaps even took a risk in dedicating a portion of a PLC day with 25 Cornell departments, roughly 50 individuals coming down to showcase, here's who we are, here's what we have to offer, here is how you can connect seamlessly with us. And folks left that experience talking about, I now have some of the information that I need. I realized it was there all the time, but for whatever reason, I did not access it. And so I did not certainly mean it, you know, whether it's humorous or not, I certainly didn't mean it in terms of saying to Leslie, well, you did not ask. There has to be an ask, there has to be an offer, and I think that's what the essence of a relationship is, or connection. People who once comfortable enough and once, you know, these layers are broken down, folks are just, you know what, let's just talk. And that's the communication piece. Right, so this is a video where you will see some very familiar faces within the district talking about their experience at the fair.
You got a full screen, Dr. Myers?
How this event ties in with my purpose as a teacher, and I'm one of those
Is it still playing on the screen?
Yeah.
How do you connect to that?
It's like kids on YouTube.
Andrea's still talking on the, she's a little head right here. She's talking.
Oh, man. It's connecting now.
Well, she only talks about 45 seconds, so we got to get her in there.
Yeah, we got to get her in. I'll tell her she's... Uh-oh.
Start over. Start over.
Is the volume okay?
There we go. Volume, Dr. Brown?
How this event ties in with my purposes as a teacher, and I'm one of those who uses the IPEI grants a lot, and the thing I've been looking forward to today in terms of coming here is a chance to find out what possible links to the Cornell community I can use to do creative things with IPEI grants. And I'm hoping to find some community partners. We already have a wonderful ongoing relationship with the Johnson Art Museum and the Cornell Plantation, so I'm looking forward to expanding that.
This is exactly what I need. I'm teaching a combined English social studies class on African
additional students, and to use this information, if we can find the time to use it, because we need help, and we'd like it.
I've been fortunate to be around here for a long time, and I've always dreamed about having something this comprehensive here in the school district where it needs to be, and just so appreciative of everyone who has made the effort to make today possible.
On the district side, what's so exciting is that our educators, through staggered times, will have the opportunity to really get an up-close and personal feedback from different Cornell representatives. And what we encouraged our group, I have the social workers, the psychologists, and the counselors who are meeting today, is to think about first what already is in existence, and then through what they see, what might be the possibility for the future. So I'm very, very excited, and my group already is buzzing about what's going on. Thank you.
I was just talking to a librarian from elementary school, and she was saying that she knows that the teachers of the school are a little frustrated with the new curriculum, everyday math, and also the parents are frustrated because they're having difficulty with the different approach to math, and they're having trouble helping their children. So I was really happy to talk to this librarian, and we can offer some support in the math department and help the teachers and parents better understand the curriculum and get on board that it is a research-based approach to math teaching and learning, and we can help them make it successful.
So I think the fair's been going really well. A lot of teachers felt that it would be really difficult to get tutors involved with their classroom, extension activities involved in their classroom, but Cornell is really trying to make it as simple as possible, and the process is not very difficult. After an email or two, we can really set up a program that's going to work for a specific teacher or a specific program, and once it's going, it's going. There's not a lot of things you have to do. You don't have to come up on the campus for multiple trainings or any of the other things that I've heard. You know, we can come down to you and make a program that fits your needs.
Hello, my name is Percy. I'm with the ASSET program. This is the Advancing Secondary Science through Technical Education. We're very glad to be down here this morning connecting with Ithaca High School teachers and middle school teachers. I was telling Cal earlier that it was great to have the time to interact with middle school and high school teachers, but I think the best time was with the elementary school teachers because we have a kit for 5th grade, but we're trying to adapt things to the 1st and 2nd grade level. So we're setting time aside with 3 elementary teachers for the 1st grade. We're very interested to have this organism in their classroom, and so we're hoping that with a collaboration we can have a very good kit that the 1st and 2nd grade teachers can use, and it's all because we were able to talk with them at the science fair and as well at this curriculum fair. So
I think the fair was great. Cornell offers a lot of programs and services that maybe many ICSD staff members don't know about. In this way, I hope they'll learn and utilize all that Cornell has to offer, which our students love.
Hi, my name is Mac Knight, principal of DeWitt Middle School. This is a great opportunity to bring the village of Ithaca together. 2 education institutions, Cornell University and the school district, joining forces to raise the level for our children.
Well, I wasn't really sure what I was going to walk into today, but once I started coming around and looking at the tables, I found lots of valuable information. Picking up some cards to contact some people, and the staff manning the tables seemed to be very knowledgeable, so certainly appreciate it. Wonderful day to have a nice break from the regular meetings, and there you go.
I'm Lori Membley from DeWitt Middle School. I was hoping for this kind of thing last year when we met up at Cornell to talk about how Cornell could be more involved with the Ithaca City School District. This has been perfect. This has been wonderful. I get the vibe from a lot of teachers and a lot of the presenters that it was a perfect way to get connected and get ideas. And afterwards we left here and we're talking in the group, and everybody was talking about things that they had were going to be able to follow up on. So I thought it was really ideal. Thank you very much.
Great job, Cal Walker.
That last comment would not make the cut. I didn't do the video. I did not do the video editing. Honestly, Jay, I don't know how to do video editing. You're on your own. So, folks, I hope you can see what really was some genuine enthusiasm at an event these were people who just passed by where I was. I did not walk around looking for anyone to talk to. There were people who said, sure, I'm happy to make a comment because this is very, very valuable. We have, and have had for quite some time, an outreach portal at Cornell that is a veritable gold mine for getting information about how, about resources that can be of help to educators in the classroom. A lot of teachers do not know about that, and as I said earlier, that's not the district's problem. That is our problem. And we've got to work harder at making sure that people know what is readily available and easily accessible, and working to make it even more accessible. And through more connection, more communication, I think that there's no question that the collaboration will be significantly increased. These red folders are simply information packets. They're examples of collaborations that are happening at Cornell that I was able to pull together with some of my colleagues. Roger Sevilla in the district did a similar request through the ICSD, and I have that packet of collaborations in here as well. I have information on the outreach portal that I just mentioned, and we also have copies of the article that was in the Cornell Chronicle today about the outreach fair on Friday, where a number of ICSD staff members were talked with and interviewed for the article. So we're excited about outreach activity. Look forward to working together with the district in a collaborative and productive manner, and would be very interested now or at some point in what you as board members feel we ought to be working on together. What some of the priorities, and I think as you take a look at some of the material that's been provided here, you'll get some sense of what the folks at classrooms are thinking.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Cal. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I mean, the event and the summary, and to hear you sit at the table and talk about how the relationship has grown, or even where it's stalled. I want to mention two things in particular that folks here may need to be reminded of, or who just may not know. I remember sitting around the table in Southside Community Center when someone brought up for the first time the impossibility of getting data so we could actually make decisions in this district. And that conversation, I'm sure, was being held around the board table. But the result of the conversation that we had in the community with community partners was this thing that we now all begin to take for granted called the equity report card. That was not a district initiative. That was the initiative of folks who were frustrated. I remember Gary helped significantly in contacting and allowing us to access the statisticians and the people who crunch numbers and data up the hill, even when we did not know what the heck we were talking about. And Barbara Bauer, if you're listening, thank you. She was the person who pushed that forward initially. So from a hard data standpoint, the statisticians and the thought process of Cornell's mathematicians and the way they put data together would move this project forward evolutionarily. You know, I know we've talked about what we wanted to see in the future. I know some folks at Cornell who have been doing the same work with other districts right around us and over us and under our legs. There's another soft component of what we can do to manage this relationship I also want to speak to. We also put together a program with Cal through his leadership called the Parental Advocacy Program. It's part of the village, and as far as I know, it's unique to this entire area. We bring stakeholders together who train average citizens to advocate for families, for their children in complex situations where the parents are struggling with that advocacy. I remember it like it was yesterday. We had a training where Department of Social Service members came in, and it was clear to all of us around the table that on any given day, 6 or 7 representatives of our various social service agencies can knock on a family's door. And those social service communicators are not even communicating with each other. And they're all there to tell that family one thing, and in particular the mother of that family. You don't have your act together. Whether it's nutrition, whether it's education, whether it's the way you're keeping your household, whether the way you're disciplining your children. And it was clear through that program that that message, that disconnected, disjointed message coming from our social service sector is not serving this district very well at all, right? So if there is something that I would like to see us work on as a collaborative effort with the village in particular, It's doing what Jeff Kennedy has done down in the Harlem Children's Zone and inviting certain key social service municipal agencies into our buildings, possibly so we can begin to have one conversation about a family. What's our expectation for a healthy family in this district? Not some doppelganger, not some carbon copy of what a middle-class family strives to be. What do we actually think a healthy family is? And how do we gather all of our resources in one place? We have psychologists and social workers in our buildings. Folks can go to various social service agencies, and guess who they will speak to? Psychologists and social service agencies. Right? The repetitiveness, the redundancy, the silos, the lack of communication in that sector of our economy is startling. I don't know why I keep being surprised, but I think if we actually put our heads together over the next 3 or 4 years, that's something we can actually begin to bring down. And I think it would help people who don't come up to this table height, and ultimately that's why I'm sitting. Go ahead, Jude.
I was there Friday, and I was overwhelmed as a former teacher. I saw things I'd never seen nor knew existed. And I walked in with the people from the Laboratory of Ornithology, and I knew, the rules and so forth about the birds, and was interested in the talk or the little bit they told me before the thing started. But there were 2 areas that I spent a lot of time on. One was the space one, and I looked at their curriculum, K through 12, and it's all there. I never knew. As a teacher, it was all there. I mean, they have done unit plans, everything, and all you have to do is ask. And the other one, I had asked this woman about the 5-year program in math and science. Turns out she was in her 5th year. And I said, well, are you planning to apply to Ithaca? And she said, unfortunately, no, that she was an ag major. And she would be going to one of the outlying schools. And I know that we have been talking about rural kids and their need to get connected to agricultural things. So I was very pleased to hear that. The other thing, I saw a lot of smiles and people talking, which was very nice.
That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And in terms of not knowing about some of the resources that are available, there was a brochure that was emailed to the entire district. I believe I sent it to you folks as well. We have some really nice sized posters, 3 by 4 foot, and a really encouraging display of these materials within the schools, and also those teachers who are currently involved in collaborations with Cornell that's really benefiting their classrooms to share that information. Because 2 teachers in classrooms side by side or across the hall from each other may not know. And obviously the PLCs are going to aid that process significantly, because the folks are meeting in professional learning communities and communicating more intentionally. These are the kinds of opportunities that can certainly be shared. Because folks, I tell you, really, my appreciation for the outreach work that's emanating from that campus and the people who are doing it continues to grow on a daily basis. They're constantly asking, what can I do? How else can I help? And so we've got to facilitate those conversations so that they're making more direct and intentional contacts within the schools. And I believe that we're going to do that.
There was a lot of note-taking of email addresses and where to get things, and it was good.
So, just before you go, Colin, I'm not sure if this is for you, but I did want to check with Dr. Brown to see, as I sit here today, I have no sense of the level of our collaborations as far as, engaging, getting our students up there, bringing them down, whether it's the birds or whatever it is. I mean, is there a way we can monitor and track and see kind of where we are? We had a lot of excitement in the video, but I kind of want to move away from anecdotal excitement or stories and say, well, we had, 82 classes go up to Cornell, that kind of thing. Are we going to monitor that at all? Or?
We will be on. the moon now. We aren't capturing that raw data at this point, but we're looking to develop a survey that will get some of that anecdotal information, but we're also looking to develop some more quantitative measures to track how many course classes go up, how many students are taking courses maybe on campus, how many of their professors are coming down. So we're in the process as we roll out our balanced scorecard approach and our quarterly metrics and annual metrics. What would they look like to speak to this collaboration?
This is a question, I guess, for both folks. I would hope, as a teacher, I know that sort of fair would have been phenomenal for me to be able to not just know it's possible, but also to then make some context and share emails and develop some relationships as well. So I imagine this is intended to be an annual thing because it seems like it'd be a use for every year.
And thank you for saying that. I really hope it will be. I really hope it will be. That is what teachers are saying as they're sending back evaluation forms electronically. I hope we can do this again next year. And I'm just putting it on the table. I'd like to see us institutionalize this.
Sure.
Let's make it a part of the first October PLC Day if we can do that.
And then taking off my one hat, put on the other hat, let's also include Ithaca College in the future. Because the partnerships, I think, from both campuses are partly what makes this community special. There's no doubt that Cornell has a particular relationship with ICSD, but I think to be able to get the full experience of what our institutions of higher education are offering to not just our faculty, but also our students, and the ways in which we can, one of my jobs at Ithaca College is to try to get as much resources from the college into the community as possible, and to make sure we can coordinate with folks to make that happen. So as we proceed, we can put you in contact with the folks, not you, but whoever helped put this together. I think it's a phenomenal program. So, and thank you for your work, Mr. Walker.
We're just beginning. Last fall when my appointment was announced, Mr. Walker and Mr. Stewart made a phone call. And it wasn't to me, it was to some folks at the University of Virginia. And they asked questions of, and I learned this later, they asked questions of those folks about how they built a world-class collaboration between the local school district and a world-class university. And when getting to town, we talked about what it would look like. This is just the beginning. This was our first step. We've talked about having a conference here that may invite Ivy League schools or other universities that are partnering with local school districts to share best practices. We've talked about the Cornell folks and the IC folks sitting at the table to support our head-start concepts. We talk about teaching and learning frameworks. Folks at Cornell and Ithaca College are doing that very well. And I've been in your class, so you're doing it too. And so having those folks at the table with us as we build out some of these structures and support systems, professional learning community work, I've seen that in action on both campuses. The human capital, there are some systems, some tools that are managing human capital development at IC and at Cornell right now that we don't have access to, just some of those technical tools. So as we did, again, this fair was just the beginning. We're talking about having a world-class connection and collaboration, and hopefully over the next year or two we can put those in place and then be a model for the country.
And we can be a model. There's no reason in the world why in this community leveraging the resources that are available and approaching it very strategically, there's no reason we can't become the gold standard in university school district partnerships. And that's what I think we have the capacity to do, and I know that there's some really committed people that are working toward that end. One of my colleagues brought the article from the Cornell Chronicle today. I'm going to slip it into these information packets, and I will make sure that they're here, and I would really encourage all of you board members to take one as you leave tonight. Thank you for your time, and there's lots more progress to be made in the future.
Thank you, Cal.
So moving along,
moving right on. And apparently there's no one from Ithaca College to come sit, but we're going to move on to another community partner.
Another community partner, one that will talk about where we are now and how we're going to move the work forward.
And it's Lisa.
My Lisa Kirk presentation
Already got it. It's up and running?
Yes.
You just have to click on PowerPoint.
So everyone, Lisa Bushlow from the Hangar Theater, and here to put on a show.
Thank you. I was going to say I was going to write a musical about this presentation, but I decided.
We would expect nothing less.
Thank you. So where would it be?
Click on removable disk.
Got it.
PowerPoint should be right there.
Okay, great. Excellent. Before I go there, let me say thank you so much for having me here. I believe today I'm here to talk a little bit about the history of the Hangars collaboration with the district, where I think we are now, where I hope we will go, and to answer any questions that you might have. let me start by saying that so much of what Cal said applies to this partnership as well. Like Cal, I've been in this community for a long time, and I've been working with the Ithaca district for a long time. 25 years ago, I was asked by the district, I think it was Judy Pastel and Randy Ehrenberg, to come and to talk about how we can establish a partnership with the hangar, but also how we can develop more of an arts boosters group. I was hired by the district back then, 25 years ago. It was part of the Arts Vision Committee, it was called. And one of the things that resulted from that is the Fine Arts Boosters Group. So I also was the drama director at DeWitt Middle School for 10 years. So I have a personal investment with the Ithaca district, and my background, I'm a Cornell grad, so I graduated and never left. And my background was how to use the arts as a tool to educate and to develop self-confidence in a child. That was my background. I was never expecting to be the executive director of the Hangar Theater, thank you very much. I'm very much an arts and education person. So I have a long history. Like Cal, this is not a collaboration for collaboration's sake. It is hopefully a good symbiotic, synergistic relationship about sharing resources where each partner needs to benefit. Third, like in any partnership, just like Cal said, there's got to be some give and take. There's got to be an open dialogue. And so this is what I hope is the first of many more conversations about how can we serve you? Because that's the whole reason why we entered this in the first place. And also, like with Cal, there's a lot more to do. So let me start by saying the origin of the Hangar and the Ithaca District partnership. If I didn't have the background that I had in arts and education, and if we didn't have so many Hangar board members who were themselves educators, school board members, passionate about arts and education, we probably would not have entered into an agreement like we entered into with you in order to manage the Performing Arts Center. So I think that's really, really important to know. I want to start by, this is just a few bullet points, and I can give it out to you at the end. Okay. So there were three reasons why we entered it. One was my own personal background. When you're the executive director, sometimes you actually get to make decisions about who you want to partner with. And I really wanted to partner with the Ithaca district. Secondly, the Hangar's mission is not only to produce live professional theater every summer, but a crucial part of our mission is education and outreach. It's how do you use the theater as a tool. During my 25 years at the theater, that has become a key component of what we do. That's really important to know. And I think that we are a unique theater in that most professional theaters don't have an educational component to what they do. As a regional theater, we're more like Syracuse Stage, or Jiva in Rochester, or Capitol Rep in Albany. These are types of professional theaters. Their education programs are about bringing students in to see theater. That's it. And it's done. What we do is we believe that by integrating theater into education, by really partnering with teachers for long-term residencies like we do with our Project 4, kids who might not be able to make connections suddenly can make deeper connections. It's different. It's a completely different mission, and I believe a regional theater has a responsibility to its community to partner with its community. None of this has anything to do with the contract, but it is why we agreed to serve. Okay? The Hangar's philosophy, I talked about the mission. The Hangar's philosophy is to create diverse, equitable experiences in theater for all students. We are trying to design programming that doesn't just reach a few students, but finds a way to partner with an entire district. Our Project 4, where the 4th grade plays, which we've been doing for 20 years now, every single 4th grader, whether you're in Enfield or Cuda Heights or Caroline, participates. That's the type of programming we are interested in doing. We're interested in using theater as a tool to teach and enhance the curriculum for the learning standards. Now, when I say the learning standards, there are actually theater learning standards. And there aren't, except for the high school, there aren't theater professionals teaching those learning standards. We believe not only in teaching theater, but also in using theater as a tool to teach history, or theater as a tool to teach math. You should have seen the play that the 4th graders did about fractions. It was so awesome. Or molecules, where the hydrogen and the oxygen met each other and they formed molecules. And it increased their understanding. That wasn't about seeing a live theater production, okay? And using theater as a tool to unite a community. Like when we came in last year and performed with Cal Walker, my brother Martin, and the Family Reading Partnership with Bridget Huberman. Or when we did Josh Keenan Comes Out to the World and did a play about a gay student 10 years ago. Okay? It's about creating a dialogue and uniting a community, and you can only do that when you can try to find a way to reach everybody, not just pockets. So, before the contract that we had with the Ithaca District, we were already doing all of these things. Okay? All of these types of programs. We do school tours where we would bring an elementary school show like Free to Be You and Me, or a play about the Underground Railroad, to elementary schools. So we perform in the cafetoriums, auditoriums. We've been doing that every year. Same thing we used to do with the high schools, Romeo and Juliet, or Macbeth, or we had to cut some of those back because logistics got hard, but still every year we tour elementary school shows, that's school tours. School time performances are when we do kid stuff shows in June, and schools bus into us. Or when we would do, used to be, we would do a show like To Kill a Mockingbird, and we would bus in middle and high school students. Project 4 is what I had explained, where every single kid for a month works with a playwright and a musical artist in their classroom to write original plays and musicals about the curriculum. It's one of a kind. It's the only theater program that reaches every single kid in all 8 elementary school classes. Project 7 was another project that we tried to pilot like we did with Project 4 in the 7th grades, where you're using design in order to tackle literature. Designing the sets and the costumes and the sound for Shakespeare. Project 3 was the program that we worked with Caroline this year, which was funded by an IPEI grant. Another program where it's about immersion in the arts in order to connect with learning. We've taught playwriting through English classes in the past. I didn't put this down, but we've also done public speaking classes. And the last bit of what we did, which was 5 years prior to the start of our contract, was managing CULP. We had an agreement where we were actually helping the district to manage CULP and to keep the kids safe on the equipment in the old unrenovated space. Okay? So when Dr. Pastel and maybe Margaret, a whole bunch of different people called us when you were renovating the Performing Arts Center, Building A. Could you help consult on what type of equipment? Can you help consult on where we should get this? We were actually brought in during the bond process to try to find a way to make it so that the theater equipment was the right theater equipment. Things like making sure that all the different theaters in town had similar type equipment, so that if something goes down, right, if your board breaks, your show will still go on because you could just borrow ours. Things like that. That's how we started this partnership. And then it quickly fast-tracked to, oh no, we're going to have this amazing space, what do we do with it? How do we find a way to manage the Performing Arts Center is how the contract started. Just a second. So there were really three components to the contract, and what's interesting is not everyone really, no one really understood what was part of this, or all the problems that were associated with it. One is, and the most important thing was being the production management and technical support staff for the Performing Arts Center. Okay, making sure that if a group wants to rent it, or if the music teachers needed something in the space, or if the drama club needed some support, that is the production management of the space was one part of the contract. Another part of the contract, and when I say part of the contract, I mean the lights, the sound, the management of the facility. Another portion of the contract was to provide technical theater training and drama club support for the 1 or 2 productions that they do every year. Okay? That's similar to what we've done in the past, except the equipment was now state-of-the-art equipment, and there were potentially more renters or more users of the facility. And regarding the technical theater training, it's what we already had been doing. It's just you can always go deeper and more advancedly. Okay? And the last bullet was arts and education theater programming in exchange for the use of the summer space. Okay, that was an experiment. That was part of, well, why would you do this for us? Why would you consider working with the Ithaca district in this way? And we thought, you know what, because a connection, again, my connection is I would love to have more kids involved. I would love to have a professional theater be training kids in a deeper level. I would love to find a way to do more programming for more students. And so that was the parameters within this first contract. It was based on 10 months of the hangar having to manage the facility for the district, not 12 months. And it was based on the fact that during the summer, the hangar can use the space. That actually turned out not to be so great for us, and I can explain that in just a little bit, but we might not be interested in doing that this year for a lot of different reasons, and I can explain that a little bit later.
What, you're not looking to do what?
We might or might not look to use the space for rehearsal space this summer. Yeah, I think you know, there are things there were some challenges that made it so that it was hard for us to do our jobs, which is to produce summer theater. So we can talk about that. So in looking at one point, we looked at different ways of allocating the funding. Just this past year, for example, we have 5 staff members. Some are interns that work here because they work with us for the summer season, but we offer them year-round contracts in order to assist in work with the district.
I'm sorry, could you make that full screen? I don't have my glasses, I can't see.
I don't know how to do things like that. So how's that? Maybe Cal can.
Right, a young person pops up.
See where it says 45% on the top?
Thank you. So right now, I think the contract, as opposed to the past where it was $34,000, it's now $68,000 or something like that. It's double. It used to be we'd have one person named, it was a different person, but Janine Gamble is the most recent person. We had one person working as contracted service working with the district. Now we have 5. Okay? Why do you need 5? Well, there are a lot of different expertise to manage that space. And it's not just during the day, sometimes it's rentals at night. I can actually go to that in a moment. I'll show you the list of the things, the rentals that happened last year, how many were in the space. But you need a different person to run the light board as you do to run the soundboard. As you do, hanging and focusing takes 3 people. It's a big commitment. In terms of the programs that we did, which I guess it's here I valued it as $8,000. We were actually only able to use the space for 6 weeks, not 8 weeks, because there was a cleaning of the building that needed to happen, so we had to move this summer. But we said, okay, we would normally be renting the space from another place for $8,000, so we'll give it a value of $8,000. And for that $8,000, we will do programming that won't cost the district anything. So Peter Flynn, our artistic director, taught the AVID class public speaking last year. That was pretty cool. We had master classes that came in, people who were guest artists with the Hangar who came in and taught with the drama club. We did My Brother Martin. You didn't pay us for that. That was just our commitment to doing it. We thought that that would be a great thing to do for teachers. We did a performance of Give a Mouse a Cookie, which was our school tour performance, and we didn't charge the schools what we usually charge for it. So it was more than the value that we originally named, but we also, I'm the arts and education person who wants to do as much as we possibly can do with the district, okay? And I know there's no money. So how can we do this? That was the question. How do I get out of here? Oh, here's a list of the rentals from last year, rentals and events from last year. We weren't originally going to do anything for the first quarter or for the September through December, but a bunch happened anyway.
Yeah.
And, we're not even talking about the problems of entering into an agreement before there are systems and people in place. For who are we reporting to, for example. This is just a list of that. How do I get to, oh, there we go, obstacles. So we entered, yes?
Are you going to send us a copy of these slides, or can you go back to this slide for a minute so I can finish reading the list of events?
Sure. I don't know how to do that. I'll come to your tech class.
Look at
sure.
the yellow paper that out here. Really few.
That's good. Just give me 2 seconds.
Sure, you got it. Wynton Marsalis was pretty excellent.
Oh, God, wonderful.
But again, that was in October, and it was, hey, could you do this? Sure. But, they usually have a professional road crew that comes in and sets up their gigs for them, and luckily we were able to do that.
So just reading that, the vast majority of these things though are ICSD events with only a few rentals, right? I'm seeing only a couple outside organizations.
Oh, could be. I don't know. That's probably right. For us, it's the same thing because we don't deal with any transaction of dollars. All we know is there's an event in the space and it needs to be managed. So if it's IPEI's 15th anniversary or it's Wynton Marsalis, it doesn't matter.
To you all.
To us, right. We're just contractors. So we just put on the best possible technical arrangement we can for you, given your equipment and our expertise.
It's an interesting distinction, yeah, our events versus the others as well, to just see. You're showing us, I don't think we've ever seen before how the space has been used over the last year.
Right, and all of this is, again, before there were any principles or policies that were really in place. So there were some, and everybody worked really hard. So when I say everybody, I mean Margaret and everybody in the Ithaca district. Everyone worked really hard, but there are no systems that why can't. So if an outside group wants to use the dance studio, and the answer is they can't use the dance studio because it's set up with the district that it can't, we're the ones that look bad because we're the gatekeepers to the dance studio. Or if a practice room key is not available, we don't make the policies. We're just trying to implement procedures and structures for a group that hadn't had this facility before, so didn't know possibly what procedures and structures needed to be in place. And I kind of threw my staff in the middle of it. And with open conversations, anything is possible. We produce magic on stage with very little resources. So We didn't have a director of fine and performing arts, so there isn't a long-term vision. There isn't a go-to person to manage all three of those different pots, right? There's the managing of the facility, there's the programming for the music and arts, and then there's the, wouldn't it be great to do things on a district level for all kids equitably? We didn't have all the systems and protocols. Different players have different needs. The drama teacher and the music teacher have very different needs. The building principal and the student and the high school staff has different needs, for example, than the administrative staff. Very few people understood the contract. Fear. What do you mean you're in my space? So the hangar also had a little bit to work with in terms of why are you managing our space? Why are you managing our equipment? And there wasn't a clear plan for the future of what we were going to do. So now what? Again, 3 areas of concentration. One is the technical management of Performing Arts Center, which I think is what you're really asking us to assist with. It's and I'll get to that slide in a moment. One is support of the music and drama teachers and students. So when you're putting on the Whiz, when you're putting on Radium Girls, a black box production, it's providing the support and the mentorship in training for theater arts for the drama club and the drama students. And the third, the part that really excites me, the arts and education programming, that's a whole separate area. Okay? That's different. That's not part of the hangar's contract with the district unless we're going to be doing a swap for the space for the summer. Okay? But we're going to continue to do it anyway because I love arts and education. But there are 3 different pieces. The technical management of Performing Arts Center, we need to work with the Ithaca District administration, continue to work with the administration to develop systems to implement the best practices for events. So, for example, when there are now systems in place for what happens when the music staff from the high school needs the space for dress rehearsal for their concerts at the same time that another building principal wants to do an event in the space. We know that we go to Margaret, and that Margaret is in charge of determining what the protocols and the procedures are. People ask us questions about if there's an event and someone's renting the space, where does that money go? I don't know, I send them to Margaret because we're really just the contractors to manage your space. Okay? We have to figure out each one of these areas has different constituents and different needs, and luckily we know that we're working with the Ithaca District Administration to manage that. Regarding the music and drama support, we are going to work with the music and arts teachers, music and drama teachers, to develop the systems and best practices to support music and drama programming. Okay, so you have a really great facility with a box office, but nobody's even tackled that one yet. You know, how do you want to use the box office? How can the hangar help you to use the box office? It's not our box office. Or how are the parents, how is the booster group involved with working on the school productions? That's actually a big question that came up, and that's not really ours to determine, but we'll work with the right people to help the district to determine that. We're used to doing that at the hangar. We have volunteer groups work with our professional actors all the time. We're going to recruit and train students. That has to be key, is how do you have the students who want to study theater learn from the pros? That's big. How do you decide which students are going to be the new students? How do you get a student interested in tech theater? Do you go to the technology classes and the woodworking classes and you try to find a way to drum up interest in the arts? I think we need to think about what we're doing in front of house and operations, not just behind the scenes, because we are a professional theater and that is what we do. professionally, so we should find a way to mentor students in that capacity as well.
And FOH means front of house?
Front of house. Okay, so then there's the third piece, which is the part that really excites me. It's not technically part of this contract, but I'm going to do it anyway, like I've done it for the last 25 years, but it's different. It's working with the Ithaca District teachers, students, administration, the IPEI, which I had a great meeting with them this morning, and the Fine Arts Boosters group were there as well, to develop integrative programming that provides and supports professional learning communities. So how do you take something like My Brother Martin and have all the breakout groups and really have a good staff development day, or like we used to do when we did Josh Keenan Comes Out to the World, or other types of events? Wouldn't it be great if every elementary, middle, and high school student experienced one theatrical production a year integrated into the curriculum? If we did A Raisin in the Sun, and if the high school students all saw it, and the history classes and the English classes worked along with our staff and these professional artists who are here from Broadway, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if we were able to have a show for elementary school students every single year, and you know it, so that you're not going to each PTA and each building principal who then goes to IPEI for the support, but it's not really within the right timeline. I mean, it is so much energy. It doesn't cost very much for us to make a decision that it would be great to provide something for every student in this district. But we have to know that that is something we're working toward. Project 4. I've talked about Project 4. It started in one elementary school, Hugo Heights, with the 3 Sues in the 4th grade who were teaching the history projects. And it expanded so that it's now district-wide. That took a long time, but we know how to do it. We can figure that part out. So I would look forward to working with IPEI and the Fine Arts Boosters group and the teachers, having roundtables, having discussions with Dr. Brown, having discussions with the board. What do you want to see? I want to see ragtime being done for the students. That's what I want. I want to see, if we're going to do the Century Cycle August Wilson, why aren't we including our students? And I want to find a way to be able to get tickets out. We tried that last year. You know, I said to Dr. Brown, first show is about mentoring. First show is about, you know, finding a way to work with kids and to mentor them, and we couldn't find a way to get the tickets out. It's a long, complicated story, but the systems have to be in place for us to be able to easily provide what we have as a resource to the district. So that's where I am at. I don't know if I have another slide or not. No, that's it. So I'll answer questions, but hopefully the most important thing that you could understand, other than the fact that we have a lot of work and systems to develop, is that our contract is really about managing Building A, the Performing Arts Center. And we're here to serve, and we just need to have some clear systems and go-tos in order to be able to do what we do well.
Questions? Go ahead, Owen.
Comment. The fact that you talked about bringing your professional work to us and incorporating with our kids is amazing. But I think we also dream of finding a way to get help by broadening the platform of the plays that are wonderful little young people. Beauty and the Beast was the first play I think Dr. Brown sat at, and his wife, and Landon was eating it up. And I still thought, walking in myself, naively, that the elementary kids had watched the Disney movie, that at the high school level, the French students had actually read the French version, right? And I thought the studio kids had been working on the woodcraft. And they said it was an all-school engagement. I was very surprised to realize that even when we do our amazing productions, that we haven't figured out a way to incorporate the entire school body. I'm assuming that's something that the hangar would also be able and willing, if we could work it out, to help us execute. And in addition to bringing your plays to us.
Yeah, what, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Are you saying to try to find a way to get more students involved, not just the ones who already self-identify as being interested, but additional students?
We do, let me make it simple, we do plays. It'd be nice to see the plays that we put on by ourselves. We didn't be Easter Wiz, we were 2 last year. It would be great to see us figure out a way that we could expand the reach of those plays and involve all of the students at every level in our school district.
I totally agree. That, sign me up. We right now don't do that programming, but sure.
Good.
Lisa, maybe I can remind you and you can address, because you mentioned that the hangar may not have much interest anymore in the summer use.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe you can address that and that specific thing. And does the hangar have, in a larger sense, any interest in using our facility at any other time or in any other way besides just this? What is it that the district can in other words, what is it can the district provide to the hangar and then maybe in exchange for it? But anyway, do we offer anything to the hangar?
I'm not sure. The problem with the summer, the facility is fabulous. We're not looking to perform in it during the summer or sell tickets or anything like that. There are, our summer is longer than your summer. So in and of itself, you know, we start at the beginning, we start mid-May.
Right.
So there's already 6 weeks that we're managing graduations and all the other things here in this building that we can use the space here. For the next 6 weeks, or really it would be July and August, there are things that the district actually needs to do in the space to maintain the space, like clean it and polish the floors and, you know, all of the other things that unless from high up or unless we can figure out a way for us still to be able to use the majority of the spaces during that time, it's a lot to have to just move or relocate for a couple of weeks, which is what we had to do this year. So that was the biggest challenge. So that was one of the biggest challenges. I think in terms of what else would we need, we actually haven't thought of that, to be honest, because we've been just managing what you need. So it's a good question, and I look forward to, I'm happy, not as part of the contract, to continue the dialogue about how to just bring more really good arts and more good theater to more kids without it costing a fortune. And so, I don't know the answer to your question. I'm sure we could use it at other play times during the year, but again, we often need it more than the amount of time that you have for your own programming.
Sean, that's
part of what I think I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a couple things to help maximize this partnership.
Yes.
One might be a meeting with the facilities committee to be able to figure out what's the best use of facilities and to put some of those structures and infrastructure in place of how we deal with those things. So I'd love to have that conversation as far as that here. It also seems like it may be a conversation to have with some folks at the policy committee, because I mentioned there's also policies that may, if I heard you correctly, about there are some things in place or not in place that are preventing from maximizing the full potential.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how to make that happen, but I think it's maybe a second round of conversation with a smaller group of folks to actually get into the weeds of some of this stuff and facilitate some of those things may be best for all parties involved. Is that
Absolutely. I think the clearer it is, the more we're able to operate to your, again, we're contracted, so we're really just doing the work you tell us to do. So that would be really, really helpful, thank you. And part of it is growing pains in that, you know, we just sort of jumped in, and it was a brand new facility. So, you know, you never had a dance floor that you couldn't wear your shoes on before.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think I can speak for the whole board as far as our interest and aggressiveness or eagerness to maximize the use of that space for the benefits of first our students, but then the community. And I got a sense that somehow the contract may have made that muddier or fuzzier, and there's kind of a relationship that's already been there and engagement, but then the contract was separate. And I just put that out there going forward and how we might recraft the contract. Or, that just the board from comments and discussions we've had, we're really, I guess aggressively is the right word, aggressively trying to serve our students with that building and use the arts and the engagement, the excitement that those kids have about whatever area of the arts, you know, the dance studio, the black, you know, just you know, the same excitement you had, we had, we still have, and we just really want to, you know, so what you bring to the table and your discussions going forward, whether it's at policy, I mean, we're trying to move, you know, we want, this year we discovered some kinks, and but we're really trying to say, okay, kinks are there, let's get them, you know, so that's just, you know, for kind of FYI where we are at this point.
Thank you.
Where the district's coming from.
Yeah, I just want to say in response, I don't think the contract is an obstacle at all. The only thing in the contract that could be an obstacle, if I'm hearing it right, is the fact that right now, during the summer, during those 2 months, we're occupying it for rehearsal space. And I think we were doing that, A, because that was the part that we could maybe use, B, in order to be able to provide programming for, you know, instead of paying someone else the money, we would put it in arts programming. And C, that we're not then paying staff members during that time to do district things. Other than that part of the contract, the only obstacle, I think, is having some clear parameters by which to manage, and those parameters are really set by the district, not by us. You know, and I think that more, as long as it's safe for the kids and, you know, sustainable, we're totally down with that. But I think that right now, that there are a lot of things that need to be figured out on the district's end in order to have us be able to help you with that. And the contract itself is not an obstacle. It's you know.
Chris, can I just follow up on that? It would be helpful for us to know when those things on the district end, how do you see the hangar engaging with the district to identify those things and address them so that we can have a solution to, like, is it through the policy, like how do you envision it, or are there discussions going on that I'm not aware of? I mean, how are we fixing those things?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I can push my staff to identify areas where people, well, no. I would say that if you think the facility committee is the right place for that to happen, I think that's a great first start. Margaret knows better. Margaret's our direct supervisor, so Margaret knows more than I do about why there are certain decisions that are made, you know, whether it's about, for example, I don't know where this originated from, but I'm pretty sure that students need to be in the space with a faculty person. There's some type of, so students can't just go in and use, that's right, they can't just go in and use the dance space, because you need to have, is that right?
Someone there.
You need to have somebody there, a teacher, or it needs to be a club or something.
With an adult supervisor?
Like, we don't have anything to do with that, you know, but there are policies like that that are obstacles to students using the space. So that's an example of one. So if in your question, how can we help get you that information? I'll go back to Cal. every time there's a question, or every time there's something which isn't going the way that you want it to go, or that you hear somebody else complaining about it, let's get that issue on the table and figure out why, and see if there's a way that we can move beyond it.
We've done some meetings. I think a year went by and there were no meetings between the hangar folks and the district folks. And this past summer we had our first meeting. We've had a couple of follow-up meetings since then.
I've had a bunch of them, and they've been going really well, but more with music.
Engage in the conversation.
Yeah, music and drama folks, or, you know, other folks out.
District staff, right.
District staff.
District staff, right.
Yeah.
The folks in the room that are instructing and working with students, not necessarily at the executive level. But, Crystal?
I'm kind of in the middle of where Seth is at and where Eldridge is at, and I think what they're trying to say is, and I hear you saying it, and just outside the contract, moving from maybe a facilities management to a student engagement focus, where Eldridge says, you know, the French students actually spoke French, and these kids did this, to that total engagement where your professional expertise is truly impactful. And where Seth is saying with the contract, what does limit us? So we'd have to, your back end of that would throw those things out there so we could understand, okay, what's limiting in this to get to that impactful part for the students. And I understand that you engaged in this contract, and that's kind of separate because what you've done with the 20 years previous history is, I guess, when I'm hearing you and seeing your excitement with that, how do we bring that to fruition? You know, and that's what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. The money that you're paying us is to technically manage that building for the teachers and for the community.
And, you know, and what I heard Cal saying is we have to ask. He's not saying about, you know, so somebody has to ask, and it's not for lack of, I think it goes two ways. What can you guys do for us for student improvement?
Yep.
And what do we need?
Yes.
So, you know, and that's where the dialogue is truly going to come in.
Yes.
You know, and I think with the other thing as far as difficulties and, you know, faculty having to be with students, that's a time thing. What time do we plan these actions to where faculty can be there, right?
Right, that's not, as Lisa's been saying, that's not where part of the issues are here, right, Lisa?
Right. I mean, what right now, there are 5 technical people in order to manage a very large space. 2 theaters. We also helped, you know, we helped with the ACS theater too, to try to get which equipment was going to be there and all of that.
Well, can you speak to this? I mean,
yeah.
We have 5 of your staff members.
Yes.
Contracts like this typically have a provision that allows for training of students to manage a similar like space.
Yes.
I haven't seen that happen in the last year. I mean,
no.
Maybe that's something we need to bring to the table, because we have some pretty savvy students who could do the same work and then cross-train and have a cadre of folks who could put you out of business.
No, that would be great.
And that's what I'm hoping that we can do over the next year.
That's a level of development.
That's what we are excited about too.
But I didn't, and I try to read, it's not in the contract. So, so maybe that's something we do outside of the contract, or when we revisit the contract, we include that. But right now, your folks aren't required to do that kind of training. But those contracts I've seen have that in here.
We are doing it, and we want to do it. And you know, an example, we just had a meeting the other day. First, you know, do you want to get involved in the theater? And we went to all different types of classes. There were 25 kids, technical theater kids, that showed up for it. So we want to do that, very much so.
Right, and we're going to have more conversations about this, Lisa, because obviously I'm hearing that there's work that you're excited about doing, the hangar's excited about doing, and that's not necessarily the technical management of the space. So, and we want to perhaps evolve from where we are right now.
Right.
And sounds like we're going to get there, and Susan's chomping at the bit to say something, and last comment, then we're going to keep working on this, but Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I've known Lisa since BC, which is before children, and so we've worked on a lot of this, and I was one of the privileged few that was there when they started the level 4, and how we're going to work it. What I would like to say is, with my longevity and history in the district, I can tell you that many of the questions you're now asking, we have some history and resolution for. So we now have a teacher who does teach theater arts. What a perfect central contact place, because the students can know they can't go into the auditorium, they can't go in the black box unless they see this particular teacher. If we use electronic and technology, so there's a sign-up sheet, there's an easy way that everyone can know just through email or some manner of registration. They go on through the district, use their technology, whether it's their iPad or even in the library, to say they have a group and they want to do it. It goes directly to the theater arts and English department, who happen to be in charge. They also can go to the music department. And then there's a central schedule with a central organization. We used to teach and train the kids so with one adult they could run sound or light. Some of the meetings you have don't need a whole crew. They need somebody to set up a microphone or make the connection to their iPad. That's all they need. And using a professional person is wonderful, but after they've done it together 4 or 5 times, you can have a pair of kids do it to check on each other, and they could do it, saving a full-time person from the hangar coming and getting our kids involved. I think if we offer the opportunity, if you build a ball field, they'll come. We've got a theater. The kids who are into it are excited and bringing others in. I think that we can do this without much trouble at all. And we have teachers who want to participate and make this work.
Thanks, Susan. Anything else, Dr. Brown, for Lisa, other than to thank Lisa for coming in? We've wanted to have this conversation for quite a while. We're through the summer season, so we're glad to be able to do this. Again, Lisa, the idea of bringing professional theater into the classroom, however we do that, whether it's in COPE or in LACS or the middle schools, elementary, that's the goal, and how do we do it? We'll figure that out, I guess. I know we will, correct.
And we will too.
Right.
I mean, we're in it for the long haul, so.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're moving on, and no more PowerPoints tonight, I don't believe, so we're going to go ahead and get the rest of our work done. Designation of a voting delegate to the New York State School Boards Association annual business meeting in the wonderful city of Buffalo. It's not Manhattan.
I'll move Rob Ainsley be the voting delegate to the New York State School Boards Association for the Ithaca City School District.
When nobody else apparently steps forward, I'm here and looking around. Where'd everybody go? But I am apparently I'm going to gladly keep Dr. Brown company, because once he gets out of Ithaca, I don't know whether he's going to get lost upstate or not.
You guys have been in trips before.
We have been.
We have a good time.
And I learned last week that I've been invited to speak about our budget process. I guess what happened with our budget process last year is gaining some statewide attention. The way we communicated, the way we packaged it, and the way we put it together. So some folks have asked me to speak, do a session. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm going to be there with you. So other takers, please.
Somebody second,
There was a second by a second. All in favor of me spending a day away from work?
Yeah.
Right, in Buffalo.
We're going to go to
Some of my
I will picture you on the maiden of the mist of
I've been there before.
Finished. Keep focused, folks. Come on now.
Yeah, let's go.
The little yellow ones.
They're blue. Sorry, what's this?
I'll move item 5C as written.
Second.
How can we vote on that? What's the point of voting on this?
And the resolution, should I read the resolution?
Yes, please.
Whereas the Board of Education has received a donation of drums and music and equipment for the student use at LACS on behalf of Steve Calkins, be it resolved that the drums and music equipment be used by students at LACS.
Thanks, Sean, for reading that into the minutes without any questions. All in favor? That's everyone. Moving on to policies, a variety of second readings. Sean, do you want to?
Yes, I think we can actually do these relatively efficiently, if you can believe that's possible. Let me begin by saying we have officially contracted with NYSBA, the New York State School Board Association, to be our policy provider. Over the next 18 months, they will be developing a revamped, edited, and fully state-mandated policy document that will be electronic that they will host at a price that's included in the contract that we set with them. So by December, we'll get the 0000 series, we'll get the 1000 series, the 2000 series, and the 3000 series. And if folks are familiar with policy books, that's the way in which they're listed. We'll get those by December. By June, we'll get the 4000 series, the 5000 series, the 6000 series, and by next December, we'll get the remainder of the policy book, which includes any state changes, any new state mandates, and continual updates. It also includes site visits should we need that from NYSBA representatives. I was on the phone today with Linda Boxt, who is the policy director of NYSBA, and who's taken a keen interest in our policies as well. And so as we proceed, we'll be in direct conversation and just know that we're in good hands, including policies that have been vetted already by NYSBA's legal counsel. So there'll be no reason for us, primarily unless we make significant changes, to be sending our policies through an additional round of legal counsel if it's going to cost us additional funds. And so that policy is in place. In the interim, I asked her, should we continue to be updating policies? As of our last understanding, there are 9 policies that will be coming up in the next month that we are legally required to have in the books, but apparently do not have in the books, and she recommended that we do approve those and make the modifications as we need, and then I will send them off to her. She will vet them through the legal counsel, and if there are any significant changes, will let us know. Otherwise, I expect our policies to be included in the new policy book as mandated.
Can I ask you, are we doing wholesale chunks of our policy? You know, are we going to go through this similar process of first set? Like, what are we doing?
Sure, phenomenal question. I think what's going to take place is that in December, when the 4 series first come down, they'll go to the policy committee to review. There'll be detailed notes, and we will bring what we think are the most required policies. Of course, we'll make it up to the full board. The full board will get the packet, but we'll handle that in committee and then bring whatever we need to bring to the full board. Most of those policies will not require a first or second reading because there'll be minor edits and modifications. But if anything that's significant will require a first and second reading, though I don't anticipate that being overwhelming. I would say over the next 2 months, probably for November, December, the board probably won't receive much by way of actual policies from the policy committee. We may be doing some work with the curriculum instruction to take a look at our special education identification, but beyond that, that's going to be the plan, is we're going to let NYSBA do their work since we're paying them to do this good work, and they've been doing it for a number of districts across the state. Not that much. I want to say it's under $4 grand, but don't quote me on that because watch it be like 40 grand.
It's not that much.
No, I know it's not. I think I recall it was like 3,800. 12. It was $4 grand a year, and the possibility of 3 years. Thank you very much. And so it's about $12,000 to have our policies be vetted by legal counsel, to be fully up to date, and to provide us with the appropriate amount of liability protection that we need as a district.
Legal costs alone.
And we are moving to digital. So the good thing is it'll be bad for an actual policy book in terms of paper manual. We'll have to figure that out. But seeing as some of these policies change relatively quickly, I think her quote to me was, if the board votes in a policy, they will update our policy book electronically within 48 hours. So that kind of turnaround is the kind of thing we've been missing and needing. And they will be the keeper of, right now we have a couple of policy books and we're not sure which one is the most up to date, which has been problematic. It'll be located in a singular warehouse and we'll be good to go. As someone who does policy, I'm actually, if you can believe it, relatively excited about what we're doing.
So is Pat.
That's right.
Pat's very excited.
I think the entire policy committee is excited, right, Judy?
Yes.
That's right. Fantastic. So with that being said, there's 4 policies on the docket tonight. The first policy is policy 1120, which is district records. This has already been vetted by BS&K. They've made their edits and suggestions, which we've adopted in total. It's passed. The second round of approval from the policy committee is presented to the board as written here tonight.
It is a lengthy policy.
It is a lengthy policy, but this is one of the policies that we felt must be very carefully worded, given the fact that it includes our responses to FOIL requests. It's the law.
So moved.
It already is. Okay. Second reading.
Second reading. Any other questions, discussion right now? Brad just stepped out of the meeting briefly, but he sure will be back. We're ready to go ahead and move up. There's Brad. We'll go ahead and vote on this policy. All in favor of policy 1120 as written and amended and edited and presented? That's everyone. Very good. To the next.
The next policy, 4311.1, display of the flag. I understand there were some questions about the excessive and or specific regulations as listed in policy 4311.1R, which is the regulations. Our understanding from talking to some folks is that this is a legal requirement, and we are best to pass the policy as is. If there are any flexibility, NISBA said they would look into it and get back to us, but in the interim, we're better off having these things on the books as opposed to not.
Okay. But this is not as lengthy as the other one.
We cut it down a little bit. We took out a paragraph or two, but we tried to keep what I understand to be the state mandated requirements for when we should display the flag and be at half mast. I want to say half staff.
Half staff.
That's why I asked the question.
I did too.
Well, we're not sailing. We're not sailing, so it's not a mast. So it's,
yeah.
But
half staff, as it says here.
Yes, yes.
And for the last point, I apologize, is that one of the questions were that there's a lot of holidays and days identified, but the regulations clearly state flag will be displayed on the following days if the school building is open. So the flexibility we have is there is that, of course, on national holidays that we're not open, we are not required to fly the flag.
Right, and any flag not illuminated is taken down every night by staff.
That's right.
At every school.
Following proper protocols.
Exactly.
So the question I had was on Pearl Harbor Day, and we are in session, and it said half
It's
mast.
legal requirement. Not much we can do about it.
Okay.
This regulation is basically NISBA boilerplate. This is lifted almost exclusively from NISBA, so we're trying to follow their protocols as best to our abilities until we feel like it doesn't suit our needs.
Education law is referenced, so
yep.
We're following the codes. Any other questions? We're good? All in favor? Second reading as written. That's everyone. On to hearing officers.
Policy 4321.8, the impartial hearing officer. My understanding there was a request to change some of the language to talk about the state set hourly rate as opposed to the hourly rate we had in there. And I apologize, I didn't highlight where that was, but there's two locations. One is in terms of a cancellation that a hearing officer will be given the fee equivalent to 1 hour of the state mandated rate, and that the district will agree to compensate hearing officers at the state set mandated rate. That's the only change in that policy, otherwise it's as read from the first reading.
And that,
it's on page 2 under compensation and page 2 under cancellation.
Thank you.
Okay, noted. Anything? Anyone? Dr. Brown? You're good? All right, all in favor? That's everyone. And last policy for tonight, animals in schools. I'm not sure whether we're for it or against it, but we have a policy.
We do have a policy for animals in schools, and the only recommendation in this policy was in the first paragraph, where it says, begin, and conduct with respect for life and appreciation for the health and safety of both animals, students, and there was a request to add the words and environment, given the fact that we don't want to introduce species that aren't native and things of that nature, which we thought was a good idea. I will make a special point when I send this to NISBA to make sure that passes their legal muster, but we thought it was a good thing to add, and that was the request.
Okay, so then my question becomes, do we send them back to the Carolina Biological Services that sends us the crayfish?
We can figure that out.
We are setting policy. It's up to the district to set the procedures.
Got it.
We could just wait in, Pat, and just really silence the room.
And again, educational law is referenced in the writing of this policy.
We should just take out the word both and add B in front of it.
That is correct. I will make noted. I don't know if you can get that during the first paragraph. Take out the word both in the last sentence.
Okay.
Both animals.
Well, animals / students, I mean,
thank you for that catch.
Appreciate that. Pat is reading the policies, obviously. But Doreen, you have that edit, and with that edit, any other?
We have a policy dream team right here.
And I'm just really glad Seth's head has not exploded. I mean, he was ready to. But All in favor of the last policy tonight? That's everyone.
So fast.
4 more coming your way next week.
We're looking forward to it.
I'm sure you are.
And revise, we're down to the Tatler and Susan. Anyone else? Susan, do you have anything you need to?
Just in general, I just want to thank the superintendent for his support of the efforts on behalf of PLC teams. We're still running into a lot of bumps with timing and scheduling, and things aren't as smooth as we'd hoped. But we've really had a good start, and if you know anything about committee work, there's always a norming and storming period where you have to figure out how you work with your colleagues and what's going on. And I will be approaching the district executive committee about the timeline we have. We're very ambitious, and I'm not asking people to stop, but I think the speed at which we're proceeding is creating it's like a big speed bump that you didn't know about yet, and that we're hitting some of these bumps, and we want to make sure that the communication between teachers and the parents is clean and clear and understandable, and Common Core standards as well as common assessments quarterly is still a bit of a challenge to meet all the deadlines. We're working on it, and so we will be further talking about what we're doing. This is the first year, and I expect there to be some concerns, but I'm very proud to represent close to 600 people who are committed to the process. We don't have it mastered yet, but they're committed and they're putting in a lot of time, and I think it should be duly recognized, the kind of effort and the steep learning curve that's happening when there are so many requirements so quickly. And I couldn't meet one person who didn't say it was so amazing to have time, like the Cornell presentation, to do technology and electronics is wonderful, but meeting face-to-face and developing real relationships and being able to discuss the real stumbling blocks and the points, people sharing where they're having a problem and what's working was amazing. So it was really nice to have that all happen in one day. People were tired, so that's a good sign. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Joe has yet to run from the room. Joe, anything? This is the opportunity to...
Before you go home,
it's a smart move. We didn't know.
So showing he's a wise man. Other business by board members, superintendent. You can see the review of coming meeting dates, a variety of committees, etc. Judy Maxwell.
I was at the PTA Council today, and it was brought up that certain PTAs have no idea who their board liaison is, and so I said I'd bring that back, and if you could contact, the school that you're a liaison for. Several have expressed a need to have you at the PTA meeting or at the site-based, so that they can get information. So I said I would do that. If you haven't done it by next PTA, Lavelle will be after you.
Well, worse, Judy will be after you.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not what you'll fear.
I'll be after you.
So I won't be there.
Judy, if I may, as someone who's been trying to, and maybe not working hard enough to find my liaison meetings with both site-based council and PTA.
At the high school.
And meeting limited success, it'd be...
Merkel.
Thank you, that's on the good contact.
And actually, if you remind me, I have her email on my...
I think I have it as well.
I'm sending it to him right now.
Thank you, Brad. And Eldred, please.
I have a question for young ACS charges. You guys may know I sell drums in my store. Several young people have already come in and asked me whether or not the drums have been donated to you guys on behalf of our dearly beloved departed colleague will be accessible to them so they can take them out and do the drum circles and participate in things that we all knew him for. So I told him I would bring that to you. I just didn't have the answer, but our 3 kids have already asked me.
I mean, just from knowing our school, I can't see a reason why not. Just probably talking to our music teacher, who's probably the person in charge.
We'll bring that back.
Just so everybody know, Rob has his iPad. I know it looks like a mini iPad, but that's because it's in Rob's hands.
But
It's apparently the real thing, I don't know.
Mission accomplished, Dr. Brown.
Congratulations, Mr. Hanson.
What? I would point out technology is a tool. It is not it is a means to an end, not the end. It is a tool for...
Well, you using it, it's a sign of the apocalypse, so...
Second only probably on Jay.
I would, as I've said, I'm in front of a computer all day long, so this is not, it's just a very nice hunk of whatever this is. But,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
and Dr. Brown, nothing else for us tonight. And Dr. Brown, congratulations once again, and feel free to go home.
Yeah, good. I feel like I'm gonna go over there.